It's in you. You possess the power. Just go hard. I need some motivation. Every day I try a little harder, but my dedication. Keep my head way, way above the water. Crowding myself when I yell at the wall. Begging to run, but I needed to crawl. I see the finish line up ahead, trying to get traction from all of this tread. I am a king, I am a queen. I am more than the people can see. I am strong when I'm needing to be. Vulnerability's nothing to me. You can try, but I'm unshakable. My successes is never debatable. I'm chameleon, I'm so interchangeable. Here's to you and all that you are capable.
You gotta go hard, better get it. You gotta go hard, better get it. You better go hard, better get it. Better get it. You gotta go hard, better get it. You gotta go hard, better get it. You gotta go hard, better get it. Better get it. You gotta go hard, better get it. You gotta go hard, better get it. You better go hard, better get it. Better get it. You gotta go hard, better get it. You gotta go hard, better get it. You gotta go hard, better get it. Better get it.
The key to life is not knowing what you want, but knowing what to do with it. The Notebook by Nicholas Sparks. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Welcome back to the podcast that helps you be the leader. And I'm very, very excited for today's show. You guys know that I'm very selective about the guests that I bring in, and I have another one, a great one for you guys today. The individual I decided to bring in is a very successful business owner. She's a great mom. She's a high drive, high achiever. But one of the main things that I wanted to bring in this individual for is, social media and like whether it's YouTube, Instagram, doesn't matter where you go, it's full of a lot of just the highlights. People just succeeding left and right. And I really wanted to bring in somebody that had real life success and had gone through some adversity, both personally and professionally. I want to get into like some real stories and some real success so that you guys aren't just fooled by all the smokes and mirrors that are online, and you actually get the perspective and the knowledge from somebody that has built a multi-million-dollar business and bootstrapped it. Somebody that goes through, we're going to dive into some of these, the personal issues, but that had to overcome childhood trauma like many of us did. And that's real life shit. So not only has she won in business, but she succeeded in life, and that she's overcome more adversity than most people can handle. So this is a real one. I'm excited to bring in a friend of mine, a client of mine as well, Miss Kimberly Escobedo. Hell yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bring the mic a little bit closer to you.
Great introduction.
Yeah,
Thank you.
just keep it probably right here. But great to have you on.
Thank you.
Excited to be here.
I'm very excited to be here.
Oh, and she's from California.
I am from California.
So this is like a thing that I ask on Instagram a lot. I'm like, what's better? Is it Florida beaches or California beaches?
Florida beaches are way warmer. You can actually get into the ocean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about sunrise? Is the Florida sunrise better or the Cali sunset? Because the Cali sunsets are pretty good.
The Cali sunsets are beautiful on a day where there is no smog.
Okay.
So it's a gamble, or it's you just never know. I think the Florida's, because the air is so clean, I have a big appreciation for the Florida sunsets.
Yeah. I mean, and I grew up in California, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, up in Northern California, up in the mountains up there.
Yeah.
But you're over in the valley.
I am.
And I can't remember if you were raised there.
I was raised in the San Fernando Valley.
That's right.
And I currently live in the Santa Clarita Valley. Okay. So which is about 20 minutes north of the San Fernando Valley.
Yeah. What do you, so a lot of people talk shit on California these days, but what do you love about California?
I love that there's a lot of places to vacation within California.
Yeah.
I mean, you can go to the Redlands, you can go, there's tons of places to visit inside of California.
Yeah. The redwoods, like the trees are pretty amazing up there.
They're ginormous.
Yeah.
They're gorgeous. Yeah.
But you're loving Florida out here, huh?
I do. The thing I also love about California is there's mountains. It's if you want flat, you can get flat. If you want mountains, you can get that. In Florida, you can't get that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, we got like, and you can get all the seasons out there. You know, you can go snowboarding or surfing in one day if you really wanted to.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
But
that's true.
random question for you that I don't know the answer to. I feel like I know you pretty good these days. So guys, Kimberly and I have known each other for almost 6 months, I think now.
Yes.
And it feels like 6 years. I feel like we've really gotten to know each other over the course of the last 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
We started working together professionally, but you know, with all of my clients that I enjoy being around, which is most of them, we grow close. And like I said, it feels like Kimberly and I have been connected for a long time. But one thing I don't know is what sport you played in high school. What was your sport? Did you play any?
I did not play any sports.
What type of kid were you in high school?
I was, we're diving.
No.
Right? I was.
It's just a random one.
I was a very introverted, low. I had one best friend who I'm still best friends with today.
Oh shit.
We met when we were 8 years old, and I'm 55 now. So I had her, and then I also hung out with my brothers and my cousins who were all male. I was the only female in my family until I birthed my daughter. And so in high school, I was very introverted, very shy, and I was a follower. I followed my best friend around, and she pretty much dictated my life.
Wow. And now today, you guys, Kimberly's a damn leader. You know, she's got a very successful landscaping and paving company, EcoViews, out in California. And that's your baby, huh?
That's my baby,
Yeah.
along with mine and my two partners.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But you're definitely, you know, you're a key leader in that business. You guys are growing it collectively, but you're not that high school girl you were once before.
No.
And you've got, I forget what you just told me, it was close to 90 employees, between 85 and 90, somewhere in there.
We do.
Wow, pretty big jump going from introvert hiding out to having 90 plus people or 80 to 90 people underneath your leadership.
It's insane. I pinch myself daily sometimes.
Yeah. Did you ever think you would be at this spot and with your business in your life?
I never.
Yeah.
No, never.
Surprise yourself.
I surprise myself, especially because this is my second business. So I never dreamed that this business would ever exist, but I did pray for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The first business, would you consider that a success or a failure?
It's funny that you asked me that question. For many years, I considered it a failure.
Okay.
I really did. And I have now seen that failure is success.
Hell yeah.
It is. If you perceive it that way, it can be very successful. You learn your greatest lessons in failure. So that business was a success. Today I look at it as a success.
Tell us a little bit about what you've done on the professional side, and then what I want to do for today's show. I want the audience to get to know you, and so you could talk a little bit about the couple of companies, talk about the scope of the work that you do, and then I'll have some questions for you about your personal life. We'll dive into that. And guys, like I said, this is an episode you're gonna want to take notes on, because many of you guys struggle overcoming failure. Many of you guys struggle overcoming adversity, or maybe you're in a situation where it feels like you don't have a way out. You know, maybe you're in a situation where you feel like calling it quits and you don't want to, you know, and you're trying to figure out what next step you should take to get things back on track. Well, we have the person to help you guys with the mindset that you're going to need to get everything moving in the right direction and overcome. Okay. So you really do want to pay attention to today's lessons and today's show. But, talk a little bit about what you've accomplished professionally, and then we'll go into your personal life. Talk about the couple of businesses that I mentioned and anything else that you want to bring up.
Okay. So my first business, well, how I'm in the construction industry. I always have been. What a lot of people don't know is that I'm a high school dropout. I say this to start because it's really how I got started in the industry that I'm in. I had to leave home when I was 17 years old, and I didn't finish school. I had to go straight into a telemarketing job and grind it out, whatever it took to make some money so I could pay my rent and survive. And I landed a job with this temp agency, is really how it started. And it was a paint and drywall company. And I started as a receptionist. It was a temporary job, and I went in and I just worked as hard. I mean, I'm a hard worker. I'm born that way. And so I went in and just gave it my all, and they offered me a permanent position. And the owners of that company, they were Israeli-owned business owners, and in Israel, you have to go into the military.
Yeah, they mandatory service.
It's mandatory.
I kind of like that.
I was drawn to that.
Yeah.
I was my first exposure to military, and I loved the militant systems in place.
Yeah, the structure.
Yeah. And so I was drawn to that, and and under this man's mentorship, this owner's mentorship, I thrived, and he saw something in me, and so I started working there. I ended up getting a managerial position in the customer service department in a paint and drywall company, which is bananas. That's a very, very, everybody and their brother is complaining about their paint and drywall.
Oh,
so
okay.
I'm dealing with clients that were
just pissed off all the time.
Oh yeah, and I was good at it. I was good at calming them down, and so I thrived in that position. And then that led me to, okay, well, let's teach her sales. Let's teach her, and I just kept getting mentored, and I would take that opportunity, and I just learn as much as I could. Fast forward, in the industry, in the construction world, when you're good at what you do and people notice that, you become, it's a very hard position. It's a very hard industry because there's specialties in the way you bill certain clients and the laws, and there's just different things that is special about it. And so when you learn it, you become valuable. And
it's hard to replace you. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And so I started to go, wow, I have something, you know, and that brought the introvert out in me. It brought confidence. I started to realize that I was capable of a lot more. And I used that, and fast forward, probably 15 years later of just grinding it out and working my way up, one of my clients came to me. She was a director of purchasing at one of these big builders, and she was like, I went to introduce myself to her. She was new to that company, and that was my account, so I needed to go introduce myself. And we hit it off, and she was like, Kimberly, what are you doing? You're a leader. You can do this. Like, let's do a business together. And I was like, are you crazy? She goes, I'll get the license. Let's do it. And I was like, let's do it. 2 women in a male-dominated industry.
I love that.
It was crazy. So we went for it, and we opened up a masonry company, a full-blown, she was a general contractor, which is unheard of for a young, good-looking female in the industry.
Yeah, this is like a total, Seth Godin calls it purple cow, where if you look into a herd of cows, they're all the same color, but if you saw a purple one, it would stand out, right? And that's what it reminds me of in your business, is not only did you launch this thing, but now you guys are the purple cow in the industry.
We really were. And we went, our niche was going to the new home builders and not getting the production homes, but focusing on the model homes and just getting all the work we can to dress the outside of those homes up.
What's the difference between a production home and a model home?
The model home has every whistle, every sparkly thing on it, to make that house sell, to show the potential of what the production home could be if you bought extras, if you upgraded. And for me, well, the money was in that and not in the production stuff, because the production stuff is they give you the vanilla, yeah. And I could go in, do these model homes, and get out, and not deal with all the craziness of the production. And we killed it. I mean, our margins were insane. It was a good idea. Nobody was doing that. Everybody wanted it all. And I go, I don't need it all. I just need some.
Yeah. You wanted the niche. You wanted just those front end, biggest opportunity. So it was your friend's idea to get into business? It wasn't really on your radar at all?
It was not on my radar. It wasn't even on her radar to get in business. What was on her radar was my potential.
Okay.
And it was the first time that somebody actually, well, that's not true, because the owners of the paint and drywall company saw something in me, and they invested in teaching me. And I remember when I left that company, they're like, we invested all this time in you, and you're leaving us, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm like, you should applaud yourself. It's kind of like raising your children, you know, and setting them off to go.
Yeah, that's good leadership. Like, you know, good leaders, you know, they build you up. Great ones, they prepare you for the next thing.
Yeah.
I think that's a big difference between good and great leaders, you know.
Yeah.
And then when you have that good mentality where you just want to, you building people up, but you want to hold on to them, it kind of comes from lack and scarcity and, you know, all that stuff. But it's a big mindset shift that they needed to do. Yeah. But so you ended up building out this company, and was it hard for you to leave for that other company, or were you ready?
It was hard, but I was ready at the same time. It was hard because I was a single mom, and I had no other source of income. So it was kind of like, well, what's the worst that can happen?
Sure.
It fails, and I have to go back into the workforce.
Got it.
Which I totally was confident of being able to do. So, no, it was not on my radar. But once the bug bit me, there was no looking back. I was not going to go back into the workforce, although I did end up having to go back into the workforce. But yeah. Man.
So now, see, the biggest thing that's standing out to me right now is you're just extremely driven. Yeah. You know, I mean, and you're not afraid of risk.
No.
You know, you're a self-starter. You can see opportunity, and you're a people person, you know, and that's led you. We'll get into the ebbs and the flows of business and how all that played out, but basically being this high drive, focused person that wants to be good to people, because that's what these careers did to you. They turned you into an emotionally intelligent person. Well, you probably already had some emotional intelligence to you, but you got put in a spot where you're able to play to those strengths.
Right.
So you built your emotional intelligence, you became influential, you got into a position of leadership, and then it was just go time, and you just took off. So, you know, a lot of people, I think, feel like the Kimberly before you met your mentor, before you really started believing in yourself. Deep down, when you're in that spot, you feel like you have something. You feel like you could be something, but you doubt yourself a lot, you know? And, you know, you got unlocked through the mentorship and also opportunity. Once you started growing a little bit, it was like, oh wow, I can do this. But I think what I really want to do with people is help them see their own potential. Mm-hmm. You know, and the way that I think a person can really see their potential is by understanding themselves better. You know, and everybody has a story, and so I want to dive into yours. You know, and I think it's amazing what you've not only accomplished, but how many people you've impacted. You know, I don't define an entrepreneur by how much revenue they do. I define an entrepreneur by who I think will show up to their funeral. Mm-hmm. And I think there would be a lot of people coming to yours because of how you've impacted them over the years. So let's talk about what created Kimberly, you know, and then we'll get into some of the lessons on business and life success towards the back end here. Yeah. Tell me a little bit more about, well, if we'll just go right into it. What are two of the toughest things that you've had to overcome in your life?
That's a good question, because for years, I thought that my childhood trauma, which was filled with tons and tons of sexual abuse, physical abuse, mental abuse, it was saturated in all of that, up until 13, 14 years old.
Fuck.
Yeah, just a lot of sex, drugs, and rock and roll is how I was raised. Before
you were even understood what that stuff was.
Yeah.
You know, that's such a young age.
Yeah. And I thought that impacted me. I thought that But it wasn't that. It wasn't. It was my mother. I'll be honest with you. My mom was present, but she was not present. She was there, but wasn't there. She wasn't engaged. She's never been engaged. And that was a lot. That was a lot to overcome. It actually paralyzed me for many, 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 many years.
So what you're saying is being ignored was one of the harder things, more than sexual trauma and childhood abuse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Why was that so much harder? Why was being ignored so much harder for you? Or what was hard about it?
Well, I mean, I'm a mom, you know, and I think that, and you and I talked about this, you know, before, about I think moms women are it's in us, you know, to care for our children, to care for people. I mean, that we're just made that way.
Yeah.
And I think what was so hard for me, and even to this day, because my mom is still living, but we don't have a relationship, is understanding how a woman could bear a child and not care about them. You know, because I've done that, you know, and I don't want to bash my mom, but, you know, that was really hard to wrap my head around.
What did you, have you come to grips with it? Like, have you overcame it?
Yeah, absolutely.
What's your mentality around, cause there's a lot of, you know, adults out there that are going through that feeling. I can think of one person right now that has, what do you call it? It's, like abandonment syndrome, the fear of being abandoned. Right. And there's a lot of people out there that are trying to overcome their childhood issues. So what's your mindset around being ignored as a kid now?
My mom was a victim too.
Okay. So more understanding for her.
Yeah. My mom, you know, parenting doesn't come with a book of instructions.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
100%.
You know, and I'm far from perfect, you know, and I have put my own brought my own baggage to my,
Sure.
you know, but having compassion. I'm actually reading a book right now, You Can Heal Your Life, that you recommended, which is an amazing book. And it really helps you to have compassion for your parents and put away whatever they did or did not do wasn't personal.
Right.
It wasn't. And if we can we become victims because we take everything so personally.
Yeah.
You know, and none of it was personal.
Yeah.
You know,
I love that forgiveness and, you know, not, and just understanding. I think that like more people like carry this, they resent their parents, they resent people their whole life. They'll carry that shit their whole life. How good does it feel to have some level of understanding for people? Like it frees you up, doesn't it?
it really does. It does. And I mean, we talked about that this morning on forgiveness. Forgiveness is everything. It's for people that are spiritual or religious. I mean, the Bible talks about forgiveness over and over and over again. And I mean, without it, you're going to be a prisoner. You know, you first have to forgive yourself. I mean, that's that when you can forgive yourself, then dishing out forgiveness to others. I watched a service from a church message the other day, and the pastor spoke on forgiveness, and she said something that really stood out to me. Excuse me. There's the saying, "Hurt people hurt people." You've heard that, right?
Hurt people hurt people. Yeah.
And she said, "Well, then if hurt people, then loved people love people, forgiven people forgive people, redeem people redeem people." And it just stood out to me, and it was like, God, if I want to receive any of those things, then I have to be those things.
An outward flow of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, expand upon that. So what does that mean to you to forgive? I forget how you could phrase that, but forgiving people, like forgive people, right?
Yeah.
What does that mean to you?
That means forgiving yourself for not knowing better, not living in the shame, not living in failure, and really forgiving yourself. And it's what we're gonna fail. We're gonna fail. Not everything. I mean, going back to the Bible, which I very much have a strong relationship with God, and you have to forgive. You have to.
What's the alternative? What will the alternative of not forgiving do to you?
It will paralyze you. It will make you bitter. It will make you resentful. It will make you live in your failure. You will not live in anything else but your failure. It will paralyze you.
So if you really want to move on in life, you have to forgive yourself.
You have to forgive yourself.
Or you're going to stay stuck, stay a victim.
Yep.
We're diving right into the deep stuff, right? We went right into forgiveness. You said that one of the toughest things that you overcame was the feeling of being ignored and neglected. What was one other thing that was difficult for you to overcome? Another hard thing. We'll go personal, and then we'll come back to the professional side.
For me, it's not having for years it was not. I literally did not tell a soul that I didn't finish high school until maybe 5 years ago.
Oh, wow. So that was a big one.
Huge.
You had embarrassment about that.
I had shame and embarrassment. Not finishing it. I mean, high achievers, which I consider myself to be a high achiever.
Yeah.
When we fail at something, when we don't complete something, it will wreak havoc on your spirit. It wreaked havoc on mine.
Fucked with your identity.
Oh God! And when you don't know who you are or aren't confident in who you are, then the opinion of everybody else around you matters.
Wow. I wanted to hit on this because that's really important. So what I'm understanding is we had this area of our life where we saw ourselves as a failure and we were hiding it, right? I didn't finish high school. And so you devalued yourself because you didn't see yourself as somebody that finished something that was important.
Yep.
So the byproduct of devaluing yourself is overvaluing everybody else. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. And that's a prison.
Wow.
That's a prison.
So what happens if you overvalue everybody else's opinion and not your own? What are the effects of that? What are the negative effects of overvaluing everybody else's opinion and not valuing yourself? What did that mean to you? You know what I mean?
Well, it meant that I created multiple identities. And multiple identities to make people see me, to get value from them. It affected my mood. My mood was based on whether somebody valued me or saw me. My how I walked in life.
Yeah, because if you don't value yourself, then what you do value is people's opinions of you. And so you have to become whatever you're hoping that they expect for you.
Yep.
And if you don't meet their expectation, then you don't feel valued. And so then you play a game of trying to make yourself conform to whatever they want you to be. Yeah. So you were caught in a trap of that for a long time.
A long time.
Wow. But you finally started seeing your value. You finally let go of seeing yourself as the school thing, not finishing high school. You let go of that.
Yeah.
And what caused the shift to forgive yourself, let go of this shame that you were carrying around, and find yourself?
So 4 years ago, we were sitting out. We got this client, my new with EcoViews. This client, wealthy man, very successful, and we just finished landscaping his house, and it was a big contract, $500,000 plus for landscape and hardscape, and he invited us to sit in his backyard, and we were talking, and he actually revealed that he had never finished high school. I was like,
you do?
It was the first time, and he said it with such confidence, you know. And I'm like, I'm sitting in this guy is loaded. I mean, I said he spent $500,000 on landscaping.
Right, exactly.
And I'm like, and he doesn't
give two shits.
Give two shits that he didn't finish high school.
Yeah.
And something clicked. So I think it's important that, I love that he shared that with me. And for the first time, I'm like, I don't give two shits. And you know what? I could probably help somebody from feeling like a failure, because I was feeling like a failure until this man said that.
That's so powerful because, you know, basically you gave yourself permission to be open about an area that you had put judgment on because somebody else shared their story with you and showed you that it didn't hold them back and it won't hold you back. And they didn't even have to really teach you. They just shared their story with you.
Absolutely. It was a game changer. It changed my life. Seriously.
What do you say to somebody that's still stuck in that trap of not seeing their own value and it's valuing everybody else's opinion of them? You know, somebody that they don't know who they are. They were the version of you before you met this guy. And they're basically holding on to some shame. They don't see their value. They don't think that they have an area of their life that they're hiding. And they value everybody else's opinion and they value the judgment of others more than the judgment of themselves. What do you say to them?
Well, nobody's thinking what you're thinking. Number one, nobody thinks that great of you or that poorly of you the way you do. You're not that important. I mean, which is kind of a big relief, you know?
Yeah.
That you're really just not that significant.
Yeah. Put your ego away.
Yeah, put the ego away because they could care less if you finished high school or not. That and that I think is the biggest thing is that really you're really giving everybody way too much credit. They're not thinking. They're battling their own shit. Sorry.
Oh, that's good. You're good. You're good to curse on here. I curse all the time.
Yeah, they're battling their own shit and they're not thinking about you. You're not that important.
I like that. When you like are worried about fear of judgment, because sometimes these guys are starting their personal brands online and they want to be on there and Instagram and stuff like that, or everybody suffers from fear of judgment in every capacity. Mm-hmm. But we create these like hypotheticals and these stories in our mind about the problems that we have. Oh my gosh, I didn't finish high school. This is so bad. I'm such a loser. All this. And it's a hypothetical, an imagined fake scenario inside of our mind that keeps us from being our full authentic self. Mm-hmm. And, you know, your advice to this person that's still stuck in that trap of judgment is get the fuck over yourself. Like, you're not that important, man.
Yeah.
That's so good. I think more people need to hear that shit. So next time you guys are about to post some content or do something audacious with your life, get over yourself. Yeah. Like, that's the lesson there. Yeah.
No, I mean, I personally find that when I see you or somebody that I respect online posting something authentic about themselves or even allowing, like, the video not to be that perfect, it's like, oh.
It's a relief.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, we need more of that in the world. And that's exactly why we're doing this show here, you know, talking about we don't need things to be perfect. We were just talking about that on the ride over here, how it's all, you know, a lot of times on the online stuff is all perfectly scripted and everything. And it's like, we need more raw, real shit, you know, people that actually been through some adversity in life. This is really good. So overcoming the judgment we were placing on ourselves, that was a top challenge. Overcoming some neglect as a childhood and in our childhood. And give me one more thing, one more difficult thing that you've overcome in business this time.
In business. Ooh, business. Well, I lost my first business, you know, the one with
your friend.
With my friend. And a lot of shame after that because go ahead.
Yeah, because you guys were crushing it all of a sudden. Remember last where we left off, like we had this masonry, primarily masonry with model homes, and we're going to basically make these things sexy. It's like great margins. We're crushing it. Probably spending a little bit more money than we probably should on some things because it was the first time we hit some money.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So talk about what that success was like and then talk about the hard part that came afterwards with the failures. How did that all happen?
Okay. So, what I was when I had that business was, I was completely underdeveloped personally. And I think that I was very immature, underdeveloped.
No personal development.
No personal development whatsoever.
Yeah.
And this business thrived. Money was coming in and I was spending and entertaining and and I didn't know what to do,
No
which is
financial
why
discipline.
the quote that I told you is so huge to me, because the quote,
It was basically
the key to life isn't getting what you want, but knowing what to do with it once you get it.
yeah.
And I mean, that is very, that was that business. That business was called Masonry Creations. And I ended up DBAing at just pavers, because I went from a full-blown masonry company to just doing interlocking pavers, because the margins were there and it was easy. You were in and out, and I was killing it. What I was not prepared for was the 2008 recession.
Damn.
That crept up. And I didn't know, we weren't prepared.
So what happened? Maybe basically all your business shut down, or
My clients BK'd on me.
BK'd?
They bankrupt, and so that affected me and my business. And the fact that I was a young successful entrepreneur, underdeveloped, I squandered all the money that could have helped me ride the recession.
So basically, you were just too loose with the money. It wasn't controlled. It wasn't disciplined. There was no budget in place. And so when a hard time hit, there was nothing there to stand on. There's no financial foundation in the business, is what you're saying.
Nothing. And I ended up bankrupt.
How long did it take you to go bankrupt? So the recession hit in like 2008.
I bankrupted in 2011.
Okay. So it was a 3-year process. Oof. Talk about stressful, huh?
Trying to make it, trying to make it survive and revive it, and all of that was very difficult. My partner ended up taking her own life
In that 3-year period?
in that 3-year period.
Oh, wow. I didn't know it happened right in that 3-year period.
Yep, she sure did.
And it had to have been hard for you.
It was very hard.
Yeah.
It
What was
very
going? So do you think she took her life because of everything that was going on in the business, or do you think there was other stuff that was going on top of it?
I think there was other stuff on top of it. I think the business was the tipping point.
Okay.
She was underdeveloped, no personal development at all. Young, beautiful, and we just didn't know where to go from there.
Yeah, business and life pressure just, you think, got the best of her. Mm-hmm. And so not only did you go bankrupt, but then you had somebody she was close to you as well. She was a friend.
Yep.
And so you guys were business partners, you're friends, you had success together. Then there's this 3-year time period, and she takes her life, and you have to go bankrupt. Fuck. What was hard? I mean, obviously it was fucking hard, right? Mm-hmm. But what was, if you had to pinpoint one of the toughest things about that 3-year time period, what was it that was so difficult? Was it fear? Was it?
It was failure.
Okay.
It was failure. I beat myself up. I felt very responsible for her taking her life. I felt responsible for bankrupting the company. I took on a lot of it and beat myself up for a long time.
Survivor's guilt, really.
Oh, yeah.
I can relate to that.
Yeah.
And, when somebody that's close to you gets hurt or they pass, you put all the pressure on yourself. I shoulda, coulda, woulda done this differently. It's all on me. It's my fault. And now I'm living. Like, why do I even deserve to be on the backside of this? And they don't,
Yep.
So that was really the difficult part, was going through the failure of it all, huh?
Yep.
So you made making the decision to file bankruptcy. Did that alleviate some of the pressure, or was that like one of the more difficult parts? Like, when did things kind of pivot where you got some relief?
That's a good question. I'll tell you this. I was in a state of, not depression, because I wasn't, but like processing everything that had taken place for about 10 years.
Oh, wow.
But at the same time, I was praying to God, because I still had that strong, even though I felt like a failure, I felt like I know I can do this. I know I have what it takes. I always had that still in me.
Yeah.
And so for 10 years, I mean, life was going on. I went back into the workforce and true to who I am, killed it, helped another man build a company. And
what type of business was that again?
A paver business.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I ended up helping him. His wife was running the business with him, and she ended up passing away. And so this opportunity presented itself for me to go in and help him in his struggle, and he thought he was going to shut his company down actually after the wife passed away. And when I came in, and because I had already had the business before him, I knew I had a lot of skill and I brought a lot to the table.
Sure.
And I helped him grow that company before I opened up this one. Excuse me. And he, so I went back into the workforce, and then all the time I was like, God, if you ever give me an opportunity to have another business again, I promise you, for your kingdom. I literally said that. I know that's going to sound weird to a lot of people, but my faith was so strong during the hardest times of my life. And I was like, I could hear God talking to me, and I could hear what I heard over the 10 years versus when I had that other business was helping people, helping others. Like that's the point of all of this. That's the point.
So the message that you kept getting was that you're supposed to help people.
I'm supposed to help people. I'm supposed to have a company so that people can have a job they can go to, that they love, that they're seen, that they're respected, that they're seen.
It's almost like a home.
Yeah.
Give people a home, a professional home, where they get all the things that we didn't have as kids.
Yeah.
And an even better job, you know. You mentioned, I talk a lot about how rock bottom isn't a bad place. Rock bottom is where you change. And I also believe that rock bottom is where you develop your deepest spiritual connection. In the military, we say that there's no atheist in a foxhole. When things are going south and you have nobody to turn to, and it's just you down there, and it seems like the impending doom, you're going to pray to something. An atheist does not exist in that situation. So you develop massive spirituality when you're in times of desperation. Have you found that to be true in your life? Is that when you develop the most spiritual strength?
Absolutely. Yeah, because I was not raised in the church. I was not introduced to God at all. I found God rock bottom, losing that business. I was in I had found myself in a very abusive relationship where I was almost killed.
Oh, wow.
And between that and the business and my business partner taking her life, I was below rock bottom.
Yeah. So you started praying to God?
I begged God. I'll never forget the first time I screamed out to God to help me.
What was do you mind sharing what that was like? Like so what did you say, or what was this moment like? So the business was failing, you were in an abusive relationship, and how clearly do you remember this moment?
I remember it very clearly.
So what happened exactly?
I had gotten out of the hospital, and my daughter was with her dad because I was divorced, and so he was taking care of her because I was in the hospital. Excuse me. And I had walked in the house. I had this big 5-bedroom, 4-bath house. My daughter and I were living in this. Felt like a mansion, and we literally didn't need it. We lived in one room in the entire house all the time.
Yeah.
And I walked into this empty house, and I literally fell to my knees, and I felt so low, and I was like, God, you have to help me. Because
the house was empty, it felt like you were just alone again. Like
I was alone. There was nobody there, not even my daughter. And I was like, it's just, that in a movie where you just see everything like closing it was like that, literally. And I was on my hands and knees and pounding the ground, begging God, show yourself. If you're really real, show yourself. Do something. And he did.
What happened? Did you find, just talk me through what happened. So you're shouting, and how did he show himself to you?
You know what? The phone rang, to be honest with you.
Okay. Yeah.
The phone rang. And I don't remember who it was that had called, but I can't remember who it was that had called.
Yeah.
But I remember that phone call, and it just woke me up. And it was like, why did that call happen right now?
Yeah.
Like, why? I wasn't expecting the call.
It's kind of like a snap out of it moment.
Yeah.
Like Kimberly, wake the fuck up.
And I just felt different. It was weird. I can't really put my finger on it. It was just a feeling.
Right.
And I felt connected, and I felt like, okay.
It almost felt like snap out of it. I got your back.
Yeah.
Almost like
that. It was
that.
weird. And I immediately, my connection to God happened.
Yeah.
I started going to church. I ended up getting baptized, and
Wow.
I started reading. I'm a reader. I love to read. So I started reading devotions and the Bible, and like I wanted
more spiritual connection because it brought you relief.
And I wanted to understand why we're all existing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, you sought out deeper meaning to life, and you started seeking.
Yeah.
And to somebody that, maybe is, how important do you think your spiritual faith is to get through hard times?
It's everything.
Why is it? Why is it everything? Why should somebody have strong spiritual faith to get through their difficult times?
Because if you don't, then you're going to make yourself your own God, and you're going to rely on yourself, which you have to, but you have to have something bigger than you. You have to have something bigger than you to press into. And I think that God's word, if you read his word and you take away all the weirdness of it that a lot of people find themselves in, and even in the Old Testament, the way you read it and the way it's written, it can be really weird. But if you break that down and you look for the instruction in it and you apply it to your life, it's like personal development. I mean, there's a system that you can put in place and you can follow. And without that, you're running amok. Your emotions are running amok. I think that I think that is the whole point that God put that there for us, is to have a structure in place to keep us on a path. To
give us, basically, God's guidance and God's scripture gives us a roadmap to keep us on track emotionally, to keep us on track with our purpose, to keep us on track with overcoming failure. Yep. It's a system that we should have into our life to overcome the hard times that we go through, is what you're saying.
Yeah. And in the Bible, if you look at the stories and all the great people in the Bible, they're all failures. Yeah. They were all failures at one point. One guy was killing one dude to get to his wife, and there's stories in there where they're all a bunch of failures, and that turned out to be God's greatest advocate. Yeah. And I love that. There's a bunch of failures in the Bible.
Yeah. I love this turnaround moment. I love that some of the best things in life are things that you experience that you can't see. Even like physical or romantic connection with somebody, you can't see that. Like, you have it, sure, but when you're in the proximity of somebody that you care about, it's like one of the greatest feelings in the world. And this moment that you had with God, where things just turned around, it's unexplainable. We don't even have the language to be able to articulate it. But this was a turnaround moment. This mm-hmm. is where you found God, and it was like a missing ingredient in your life that allowed you to go on to create the next level of success. Because to your point, you said something that I really liked. You said if you don't have God, then you're going to become your own God, mm-hmm. which basically keeps you in a state of delusion, and it doesn't ground you. Yep. So, when Kimberly was building her first company, she didn't have God, which she became her own God. And she built up this company, and the money was coming in, and she was uncontrolled. She was untethered. And of course, because there was no structure in place, there was no spiritual foundation, she got ahead of herself, and she became her own God. And she didn't stay humble. And so she fell down and had to learn a lesson that, you know what, listen, this is not all about Kimberly. This is about you and me rising up and helping people. That's what this is about. And that's really what your story at this chapter, what happened there, huh?
Absolutely. Gives me the chills because that's exactly what happened.
So, I mean, crazy and tough, but also amazing, because I think more people should spend this, like, a lot of people go to, when I was going through a hard time, I turned to the YouTube and I turned to Instagram to really get myself to think differently and find inspiration. And I just really hope that the right person finds this and they can hear this story about having the most difficult time in their life, finding their spiritual connection and using that to pull themselves out and get on track with their life and realize that their real mission in life is not about their level of success. It's about their level of service.
Absolutely.
I
love that.
So tough time. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. That's like you lose your best friend, business bankruptcy, like, holy shit, divorce. That sucks. But it builds you into an incredible leader, who you are today. So, lead that into the company that you have now. So what did you do to get on track and build your next company, increase your faith, and improve your personal development so that you could have the next level of success that you've built today and not have things taken away from you? So basically, in other words, let's talk about what lessons you started applying and what your goal became after that turnaround point.
The number one lesson was humility.
Okay.
I mean, you just said it. I had to humble myself, and losing it all, and then some is a real. I mean, I ate so much humble pie. It's like, ugh, it's kind of yeah.
Fuck.
So I don't want to do that again. I'm over it.
You learned that lesson. Don't make me go that shit.
I don't want to do that again. I got, during those 10 years, I remarried. I actually remarried, and we adopted our son. I ended up adopting a young boy at birth, who's now 12 years old. And I went back into the workforce, and I prayed a lot. I was like, I knew I wanted another business, and even my husband was like, you know what, you gotta do this again. Because he was a client for my first business. That's how I met him.
Second husband, right?
My second husband.
Okay.
He was my client, and he had asked me out for years, and I wouldn't date him because he was a client.
Yeah.
And so I was like, nope, don't date clients. Well, when I ended up losing the business, and he found out, and he asked me again. And
Here's my shot.
And I was humble enough to accept the date with him because I was so full of myself before. I was like, oh, I'm not dating you. So to be honest with you, and we laugh about it all the time.
For sure. My wife turned me down for like 6 months when I met her, so it's cool.
No, I'm like, oh, hell no would I ever date him. I end up marrying him and adopting a child with him.
Yeah.
God has a really funny sense of humor. He's like, really? Really?
Yeah. That's funny as shit.
So I prayed. Okay, during those, I'm like, God, if you ever give me the opportunity to have a business again, all for your kingdom. I want to help people. I want to help families. And I literally prayed that with everything in me for 10 years. And they say God's timing is everything. God's timing is. People give up so much on praying to God because they see him as a genie. They see him, that wish doesn't come true. And that's sometimes God doesn't give us what we ask for. Or sometimes he does, but in a different way, and sometimes he does, and it takes this long, and I know it took 10 years. I was like, I never thought it would happen again. But then the beginning of COVID, my husband comes home and he was like, I lost my job after 28 years of service.
Damn.
And I was like, we're older, he's 60.
And at the time he was in the construction industry as well, right?
Landscape. And he had been working for that company for 28 years. And so when he told me that, I was in the beginning of COVID, I'm like, oh, okay, what are we going to do? But I think that the survivor in me, the fighter in me when pressure is, when I thrive under pressure.
Yeah, you go on the offense under pressure.
Yeah, so I was like, okay, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? And I go, you know what? I went online, I grabbed a study guide. I paid $600 for this study course. And I go, you're going to take your contractor's license, and if you don't, we're getting divorced.
Let's go, motherfucker.
I literally said that to him because I didn't want him to get depressed. I didn't want him to like sulk in losing his job.
Yeah.
So he took the test. Believe it or not, Jeremiah, I don't know how I did it. I started this company during COVID.
I know that you guys missed those two most important things of this this chapter, which is 10 years of praying to God, promising that you're gonna, serve His kingdom and be a selfless servant, be a leader that gives back. 10 years. Most people can't do that for 10 days, let alone even probably like 10 minutes. 10 years of consistent, determined, confession and commitment to this purpose. And then on top of that, we're going to launch a business in the middle of like COVID, the biggest like shutdown ever, So that's, wild. But, when somebody's going through a difficult time, let's talk about this, because not everybody responds the same. Mm-hmm. Not everybody gets on the offensive. Like somebody doesn't make a sale in their business, or somebody is separated from, maybe in the military. I got a lot of military people that follow me. They separate from the military, and it's almost like the world comes crashing down on them, and they turn to the victim mentality. What's your advice to somebody that is in that victim mentality where it feels like they just got fired from their job, things are working against them? What do you say to that person?
Get up and work. Work on yourself. Get up. I mean, during those 10 years, I gained 53 pounds well, no, I'm not going to say 10 years. In the
10-year period, in that window.
That window, I put on 53 pounds because I didn't get up and work. I sat in my victim mentality.
Oof.
I was like, ooh, why is this happening to me? I really was a victim, and I allowed myself to be a victim. So my advice, you're not a victim. You're not. We all go through hard shit. That is, I had this conversation with one of my trainers, and we talk about, the ebbs and flows. Even a heartbeat is not linear. It's up and down. Life, everything is, you're going to have high times and you're going to have low times. And if you know that and you accept that and you quit chasing all the highs and learn to embrace the lows, you'll be fine.
That's so good. That's so good. More people need to hear that. More people expect this. I don't know what does it to people, but they have this expectation in life that it's linear, and life is full of seasons. You have the summers, you have the falls, you have the winters, you have the springs, and yet we forget that when we're in a season of failure and contraction or winter, that we should still be getting to work, and that this is part of it. A lot of people try to wait for life to catch up to their desire and their expectation. Like, I'm just going to outwait the season. Mm-hmm. And that's just a good way to get buried.
Yep.
What we really need to do is, you said, get up and get to work. Like, get your hands on what you need to work on and start putting in the damn work.
Yep.
What does being a victim look like to you? If somebody's being a victim, what does that actually look like? Or what did it look like for you?
Blaming everybody for what went wrong, placing the blame on everybody else and not being accountable for the position that you're in. That is absolutely victim mentality. And I was a victim if you're not intentionally working on that,
sure,
you're sink back into that victim mentality easily, because a lot of things happen to us, and we are victims. It doesn't invalidate what's happened to us. But if we realize that we're all victims at some point or another, we're all perpetrators, we're all a lot of things. We all cause things to happen. We all are victim or victim of circumstances. I mean, we're But if you get stuck in, oh, that happened to me, and you don't hold yourself accountable for what you're doing to that situation or to people, and you think that it's only happening to you, you're done.
I love that. You know, this is what you guys need to take away from the victim mentality discussion right here. And it's, if you're constantly being a victim, then you're choosing to give your power to something else other than yourself.
Yep.
Like when you say that somebody else is the cause of your problem, the root of your issues, you're basically throwing your hands up and saying, I don't have the power to change anything in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And you just become a bystander, as a side character in your own movie.
Yep.
Instead of being the hero, the victor, the person that can regain control, take responsibility, look themselves in the mirror, and actually start fixing shit.
Yep.
So you learned basically to stop being a victim. That turned around for you, and that happened around the COVID time frame. Yeah?
Yeah. And like I said, if you're not... It did, because I had to, you know.
Right.
My husband came to me and was like...
It was almost like that phone call moment where it was like a snap out of it moment that just happened, and then you got yourself, forced you into work mode.
Absolutely what happened.
Yeah.
I'm surprised. It is absolutely what happened. And you know what? For the first time, I was able to go, you know what? Maybe I do like problems. Maybe challenges are good for me.
Yeah. Because it puts you on the offensive.
Yeah.
It's why is adversity so bad? I actually like solving problems.
Yeah.
Oh, damn, pun intended again. Every time, you know? So we start this business, the second business during COVID. I mean, in the construction industry again. So this is obviously not an easy thing to do. And talk to me about going from there to where we're at now. What was that journey? What'd you do? Well,
I will say this. I didn't do it alone, even though I led the way. I had my husband, and then we have another business partner, Vicente, and I surrounded myself with people that actually has the same visions, the same goals. And this time around, with God, this time around, it is different. It is different. Is it easy? No, it's not. It has a whole slew of challenges, and which brought me to you, you know. But I have a system in place and I have people in place that I didn't have before. And I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought.
No, you're telling me about how you went from the turnaround point to during COVID to where you're at now, and it sounds like what you did is you stopped being an IMA, you started building a dream team.
Yeah.
And instead of being about my success, my company, and what I can do, it's I'm going to surround myself with the right team. I'm going to build up my people. I'm going to cast a vision, and we're all going to do this together. And not only that, but we're going to do it for God. We're going to do this in the service of other people.
Yeah.
And that was the mission that you set out, and that's what led you to where you're at now.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Are you proud of yourself?
I am.
What are you most proud of yourself for over the years?
I'm proud that I don't have the shame anymore, that I'm not carrying that shame of the high school diploma. I'm proud of how resilient I am. You know, I am proud. I'm proud to say I'm not perfect. I'm proud to say that the work is not over, and that my personal development journey will be till the day I have my last breath of air, you know, in my lungs. I'm proud to say I'm not perfect.
Yeah, you found your authentic self.
Yeah.
You've released from the judgment you were putting on yourself, and you've built an incredible team, and you've built an incredible company, and you're excited to do more of it.
I am excited.
Yeah.
I don't want to just do landscape and pavers either, which is something I thought I was only going to box myself into. I actually have other dreams too.
Yeah, so tell me a little bit about that. What's your vision moving forward? I know you're going to grow your company, but what do you want to share with us about where Kimberly's headed?
Where I'm headed is outside of the company. I would love to not be in the day-to-day operations of it. I won't be. I'm working on that now to get outside of that and invest in other businesses. I want to have multiple streams of income, not just the paver in landscape business. I'd love to work with other women, younger and older,
Entrepreneurs and business owners,
yep,
or mostly,
entrepreneur and women that have battled trauma, you know, and struggle with trauma.
Yeah. We didn't talk a lot about that in detail, but I think it's important to touch on.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think the audience, you know, at the very beginning, you talked a little bit about, you went through sexual trauma as a young girl.
Mm-hmm.
And when I asked you about some of the hard things that you overcame, it was actually other things that were difficult. And I understand why, as you said it. But I think that a lot of people can relate to childhood trauma.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they would love to hear from you about how to overcome that. You know, if you've overcome childhood trauma and sexual abuse, maybe you can give them a little bit of perspective, and then on like what you went through, and then also give them some advice on how to overcome it themselves. Because it's shocking how many people go through sexual trauma as kids, you know, and even, and I know you're a woman talking about sexual trauma, but even men, I know several men that have gone through that as kids, and it's not, you know, they're not vocal about it. They don't talk about it as much. I think they have even more shame. I think they carry a lot of shame. I don't want to say more. I just want to say they carry a lot of shame. Yeah. So I know people need to hear you talk about this. And I would love for you to just kind of maybe just summarize it and then talk about how you have overcome the trauma in your life.
So I agree. There's a lot of men that and I know in sharing my story on a very intimate level with certain people, I've heard from men stories about their sexual trauma, and the amount of shame that they carry you're spot on. It's true.
Yeah, sexual trauma is not gender specific. It happens to fucking everybody.
It does.
Like, it's crazy.
It's crazy, and the amount of shame, because you're not even didn't even do anything wrong.
You're just trying to live.
Yeah. The sexual abuse, I think, and I don't know if this is for everybody, but I'm pretty sure it is. It confused me. I became very promiscuous I became very in touch with my own sexual desires at a very young age.
Yeah.
Very young age. And I operated and I used that to manipulate my way around, not knowing any better.
Right. No, it became like you normalized sexual interaction the way that you normalize a handshake.
Right.
It was like you were desensitized to it, and so it became a way of kind of going about the world versus something that you should hold sacred to yourself. Right. Is kind of what it sounds like. Yeah. Yeah.
And overcoming that, to be honest with you, it was having my daughter. Giving birth to a little girl and not wanting that for her, and wanting to protect her, because I told you I didn't get that with my mom.
Yeah. And
so I would do anything at all costs to protect my daughter from anything like that ever happening to her. And so I think that she just helped me overcome that. I don't know why some people get out of it and some don't. I can say that my faith has been a big factor. Not being a victim.
I think also, if I'm kind of reading between the lines, I think having your daughter was almost a way for you to say, I'm going to make a difference in this thing that people go through. Like, people go through sexual trauma. I'm going to make a difference, and I'm going to raise somebody and protect them, and I'm going to be a difference maker and let this stop with me.
Yeah.
And that really helped you overcome your own shit and also work through it in a way that empowers you to make a difference versus being a victim to it is what it kind of sounds like.
Yeah.
So if I'm looking at somebody that has gone through childhood trauma, sexual trauma, and we're giving them some advice to overcome it, we don't necessarily want everybody going out and having kids and if they don't want to go overcome their trauma, but what would you tell them to overcome childhood trauma in their life? What would you tell somebody how to overcome the trauma in their life? What would you tell them to do?
Extend forgiveness. I know it's hard to forgive somebody that has hurt you, but seriously, you have to forgive them. You have to. Not for them. You're not letting them off the hook.
And yourself too.
It's for you.
Yeah. And yeah, exactly. So yourself as well. So you can't forgive yourself until you forgive them. Is that right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You have to, first of all, realize, you know what? You are a victim. You were a victim. But living in that, that's where you validate yourself. Yes, that happened to me. Yes, that was messed up. I didn't deserve that. I forgive you.
You guys listen to that shit. It's okay to be a victim, but it's not okay to stay there. That's what Kimberly just said. And you're talking about somebody that's overcame massive amounts of personal and professional adversity in her life. Yep. She's been through it all. And that's a lesson that everybody here needs to hear.
And the thing is, with that victim mentality, if you stay in that, then you become a victimizer. You just become, it's kind of like hurt people.
Yeah.
You know, if you stay a victim, you're going to start, even if it's not the same abuse, you're going to do some form of abuse to somebody else.
Because you're not in control of yourself.
No.
You're not taking the power back. You're not assuming responsibility. So you just become a puppet of your own issue.
Yep.
You cave into your impulses, and whatever that happens, it either points you towards hurting other people, or maybe you turn to substance abuses, but your emotions are basically in control of you because you've refused to take back the power that you could give yourself.
Yep.
That's good. That's really good. The women that you're excited to help and mentor, and I'm really excited for you to get out there and share your knowledge with other women out and in business and entrepreneurship. I'm very excited for that. I'm very excited for what you're going to do with your company too. You're building a great team, and removing yourself from the business and is not. It's a selfless act. I know that removing yourself from the business is you stepping away so that it can grow even bigger and even better. So I'm very excited about that. But I'm also, like I said, really excited for you to align yourself to serving other women and helping them through their challenges and giving them perspective. What would you like if you could have a room full of women, like 50 to 100 women, and you were up there speaking to them and you could give them maybe one lesson on business and life? What would you want to share with them about their journey to higher levels of success? So picture a room full of women, 50 to 100 of them, and you're up there on stage or in maybe a huddle with them, and they're all about to embark on their mission, and you're sitting there and you're looking at them all and you're like, damn, you guys are going to go through some shit. Mm-hmm. What's the message you would want to give them and tell them to inspire them on their way? What would you want to tell them?
I always say this. I say this every day when I sit at my desk. Face the Goliath. Don't run. Face it. Stand in front of your Goliath, whatever that is. Don't run. Because chances are it's just your own fear. It's you when you face anything, you usually can conquer it. I mean, you really can. I think our own mind, our own brain paralyzes us. It feeds off of all the things that have happened to us. And working on yourself personally, I recommend that to every human being, not just women. Take care of yourself. Get up every day and put the work in.
Confront your Goliath. And work on yourself.
Forgive yourself. And ladies, let's forgive each other. Women are and that's why I want to work with women. I work with all men.
Yeah.
You know, my relationship with my mom is non-existent. So it's a challenge for me to be around women.
Yeah.
I'm not naturally drawn to other females. But I love how strong we are. I love how we were created to help.
I think that's a perfect community for you and a perfect group for you, is more women like you that can't relate to other women. All of you guys coming together and being like, listen, we all know we're fucking up because we can't relate to these other women. We surround ourselves with men. We need to come together and support one another.
Absolutely.
I love that for you. And, you know, you mentioned, I want to make sure we give some clear actionable steps for these guys when it comes to improving themselves. You mentioned the importance of doing personal development. And we talked about the importance of, you know, your spiritual faith and, or your spirituality. When it comes to working on yourself and putting yourself first, what do you think are a couple of key things a person should do, a leader should do, to work on themselves every single day that you have found value doing?
I get up at a good hour. Once I program myself to get up early and start my day. And I start with God, with gratitude. I'm always grateful for what I do have. And I'm intentional about that. And then I work on my fitness, on my body, not for vanity reasons. Although for many, many years it was for that. But I know that why I work on my fitness and get up every day is because when I do and I commit to that, and I'm proud of myself. It helps me to remove any shame that I have. Those pouring into that and accomplishing a goal that I set out for myself helps me to remove all shame.
I love that. It reinforces who you know you are.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm going to work on myself and I'm starting out in personal development, first thing, wake up at a disciplined time that I respect. Next thing, give gratitude for what you got and what you don't have and everything in your life. Just be grateful. Don't be an ungrateful motherfucker. And then number 3 is go work on yourself, your body. Like, go get your body moving so that way when you come back, you take that shower, you can look in the mirror and you're proud of the motherfucker that you're looking at.
Yep.
So that's solid. As we start transitioning off here, is there anything else that you want to cover that I might have missed that you think is important for the listeners to hear?
Yeah, I think that life, like going back to the heartbeat and the ups and downs of life, I think being realistic with yourself and knowing that that's life. If you're going to pray to a God for everything to be perfect, you're going to be waiting a very long time. And I think just embrace the challenges, embrace them, face them, and fix them.
I love that. I love it a lot. Such a good story, man. You guys need Kimberly's mindset. You need her determination. You need her leadership. We got her daughter in the room over here. How great is she? She's amazing. Her daughter's over here. She doesn't have a mic, but she said she's amazing. So people will probably want to connect with you after this. Are you cool sharing your social media?
I am.
All right, so go ahead and tell them where to find you.
Kimberly.
Talk to them right there.
Kimberly_EcoViews Landscape.
Yeah, this one right here.
Yes.
Yeah, there you
I'm
go.
looking at my daughter.
Yeah, you're good. Yeah, we'll put it in the show notes, but go ahead and say it again. What is it?
It's Kimberly_EcoViews Landscape.
Cool. And if you guys end up following her over there on Instagram, just say be the leader in the DM or whatnot if you message her. Be respectful and everything. Maybe show up in the comments first and say what's up before you just start jumping into DMs with people. But she has an amazing story, and she's been posting more content a little bit. So I'm excited to kind of see how that unfolds and everything. But we'll obviously have her contact information in the show notes. But is there anything else that you want to highlight moving into 2025 that these guys should know about?
2025. Well, I'm already working on 2025. 2024 is done. And like I said, I'm working on getting out of my day-to-day operations.
Okay.
So it's just more personal development. It's just more personal development and just doing the work. Get up and do the work. Don't wait.
Okay, well, guys, I'll tell you guys this. Moving into 2025, you're gonna see me and Kimberly doing stuff together. She comes, we do masterminds together, we do events together. She's came to some of my Conquer Quest leadership events, and as she turns the corner in 2025, she's gonna be growing her business even more. She's also gonna be doing potentially launching her own mentorship program for women. But either way, you guys, her content is valuable because you can continue to learn from her. And if you want to stay tuned for future opportunities to either work with her or maybe come to events with her, make sure you follow her on social media, because it would be really cool for you guys to come to like a Conquer Quest event with her and maybe have you teach them a few things as well on the next one. But I would absolutely love that. So make sure you guys follow her on Instagram. And if you guys are in her area, you could hit her up for some business work too. How would you want that to work? If they want to get some landscaping or some paving done by you, how should they go about that?
They could reach us on my Instagram page or on our EcoViews landscape page or our website, which is www.ecoviewslandscape.com. And yeah.
Perfect. Send up a request there and then get to work.
Check out our website.
Cool. Anything else before we close it up?
No.
Good. Man, that was a good freaking show, man. I'm giving it a round of applause.
Thank
Guys,
you.
gals, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, Kimberly, thank you so much for coming on. I know you changed so many people's lives with this. You equip them with the mindset that they need to actually overcome adversity and win. And we need more of that going on in the world. So outstanding job. And I'm inspired. Guys, gals, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys enjoyed today's show, send it over to a friend. You could just text message it to them, send it via email. I don't care how you get it to them. Share it with somebody that would be inspired by this. And until next time, be the leader.
It's in you. You possess the power. Just go hard. I need some motivation. Every day I try a little harder, but my dedication. Keep my head way, way above the water. Proud of myself when I yell at the wall. Begging to run, but I needed to crawl. I see the finish line up ahead, trying to get traction from all of this tread. I am a king, I am a queen. I am more than the people can see. I am strong when I'm needing to be. Vulnerability's nothing to me. You can try, but I'm unshakable. My successes is never debatable. I'm chameleon, I'm so interchangeable. Here's to you and all that you are capable.
You gotta go hard, better get it.